I say some of my notes or comments? Like, for example,
No, we fed those.
all set?
Yes, sir.
So in order to, like, so that one page to another. So my sense.
How are the iPads working? I'm really old school. I still write checks. So I was just like, oh, iPads, oh no.
Yeah. I don't know where all those people
You're out of town. They're stuck on 95.
This gets big. There we go.
Well, everything was, you know, changes that demographic.
My own senses.
Call the Water Pollution Control Authority and Town Council meeting to order for Tuesday, August 9th, 2016, 7:08 p.m. Start first with salute to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Duty? Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Here.
Counselor Angeloni?
Here.
Counselor Arman?
Here?
Counselor Candeloro?
Here.
Counselor Diamond?
Here.
Counselor Manna?
Here.
Counselor Miller?
Here.
Counselor Rose?
Here.
Motion to approve the minutes of June 21st, 2016, Town Council meeting, revised minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Corrections? Roll call?
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
The July 12th, 2016 Water Pollution Control Authority and Town Council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections? Roll call?
Counselor Arman, was that you for a second?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Staying. I wasn't here.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Next, we'll move into the Water Pollution Control Authority agenda. First item is correspondence citizen statements. None listed. Unfinished business. Nothing listed. New business. Schedule of Water Pollution Control Authority meeting and public hearing for sewer works budget and proposed user fee fiscal year 2016-2017.
Good evening. Just briefly, this is an annual item that is on your agenda. Basically, we're in the process of putting together the WPCA budget to establish the sewer agencies. We're in the process of information gathering at this point, with the goal of having the budget put together and schedule a public hearing for September 20th. And in addition to schedule a public hearing, to schedule a special water pollution control authority meeting for that date as well. We're trying to get, the biggest item there out there we're trying to get is the intermunicipal costs, and all the other municipalities that bill us for sewer use are in the process of putting their numbers together. So we pretty much get them around 1st of September or possibly the week after. So that's why we have to push it off to the second meeting in September for the public hearing and the special meeting. And I will, at this point, just emphasize that, again, I don't have all the information at this point, but the one item that will have an impact on there is what we dealt with the last time in terms of Branford. They're doing some capital improvements, and they're passing on our portion of our cost to us. So that will have some impact on it. Again, I just have to see how the rest of the numbers shake out. So there is a suggested motion to have a special meeting on September 20th and have a public hearing as well.
Right, I'll move that the North Branford Water Pollution Control Authority schedule a special Water Pollution Control Authority meeting on Tuesday, September 20th, 2016, and acting as a sewer authority of the town pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 7-2255, hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 20th, 2016 at 7:30 p.m. here at the North Branford Town Hall, 909 Foxton Road, North Branford, for the purpose of receiving public input on the sewer works operating budget and the proposed sewer user fee for the 2016-2017 fiscal year.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Next item, citizen statements and petitions under the Water Pollution Control Authority agenda. Seeing none, we'll move into the regular town council meeting. Reports of committee, boards, and commissions. Permanent Project Building Committee.
No meeting.
Next item is Economic Development Commission.
On Thursday evening at the Potato Fest site under the Big Tent, Economic Development held a business welcoming event in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. It was well attended, and I thought it was well received. That's all I got.
And they're also working on a business survey that should be released later this week or beginning of next week. So, but hopefully this week it'll be launched for business survey that they're looking for, which is part of what Lucas, the intern, has been working on. So if anybody's interested in seeing that, just let me know and get that, send it to you. I think most of it will be done electronically, where you can go on to one of those Google surveys where you can just hit it and do it online, paperless. So
Very good.
that'll be coming out this week.
Thank you. Park and Recreation Commission.
We'll be having a presentation on POCO, and that'll cover most of what's on Park and Rec.
Next item is Police Commission.
No meeting in August.
Next is Fire Commission. They did have a meeting. I was at the EDC that night, and the minutes are in the agenda package if you wanted to see them. We got them tonight. Next item is Board of Education and Town Council Communications Subcommittee.
We met tonight just prior to the council meeting, and our biggest discussion were on the NBIS roof. There was a walkthrough on July 14th, and at that time it was determined that Peter Horton from Newman Architects was going to get his consultants to do a walkthrough to come up with solutions as to the problem at NBIS and how we can address that. So until that happens, which hopefully will be in the next week or so, we can't go any further on the NBIS project. The person from the East Shore Health did the walkthrough, and he is also in the process of developing a report that will be submitted to the schools and the towns as a result of that. And we also talked about the replacement of the auditorium carpet. There is an item agenda later in the agenda that, based on our conversation tonight, we are going to ask to table because we need more information in regards to that bid process as to what happened with it. So we'll be asking not to take that action on that. Scott Schoonmaker had reported that whenever it's done, that they will work the replacement of the carpet in during a downtime in the auditorium, so it's not time sensitive. So we would like to get accurate information before we proceed with it. And then there was also extensive discussion in regards to where the money could come from to address the NBIS problem. The board would sees that as the the project, as along with the council members, that we need to address that issue and get that issue fixed. So the superintendent of schools has recommended that to come up with the money for the project, that we use the $60,000 from the auditorium, the money that has been allocated for the pneumatic thermostats, and also the money that has been allocated for the high school bathrooms. That would give us approximately $225,000 to start. If the project is less than that, then we can have a discussion as to where the remainder of that money will go. But that was his recommendation as far as addressing the issue at NBIS. And then our next meeting with that will probably be a joint full board and council meeting in regards to teacher contract, because they will be starting negotiations this fall.
In November.
Well, it depends on, we have to wait for the date, because that's dictated by state statute, and it's a mandatory meeting. So they will get us the date of that. And that was it.
Thank you.
So before we get off that, because I know Michael's going to address it also, but it's disturbing that we had that meeting almost a month ago at NBIS, and the bigger concern to me than the ongoing roof leak was the condensation in the ductwork. And I gotta say, how we've got a month gone by with nothing going on is the reason that the Board of Ed was all frustrated about trying to get this stuff fixed. This is wrong. I don't know that the health department is going to be happy about this, that we're going to be going to school with the condensation in the duct. He wasn't real happy when he was there. He said, I looked at this a year and a half ago, was told it was fixed. It hasn't been fixed. You need to come up with a comprehensive plan on what you're doing. I almost called him today to, get his thoughts on this, but, it was my idea to contact the architect. We did get their attention, but no, nothing's happened. A couple days after the walkthrough, a couple of the principals called me on a conference call because I am in the industry, and wanted to know what they needed to do. and, how, you know, if we could have a meeting, and I told him, absolutely not. You know, the meetings are, all go through Michael's office, you're not meeting with me. But sooner or later, we have to get off this horse and fix it ourselves. So, I mean, I know he went on vacation, but we're a month after the meeting, and like I said, I'm making it my pet project, and I'm not gonna let it run this way. You know, we give him about another week to do it, and then we need to tackle it. We need to get it fixed, and then we need to have the attorneys go after anybody, if there's anything to go after. You know, I don't know. But I do know in construction, you're responsible for what you did for, you know, a lot more than what they all think is the first year.
Well, under the, when we were gonna cover it in our agenda, you know, I would like to recommend, you know, that you be like the town council's liaison to this, you know, to this project.
Yeah, but
So-
what I'm saying is, we may or may not be dealing with the wrong people.
Well, right.
You know, it's been going on for how many years? And, I mean, it was pretty scary walking through the school and seeing things that really need to be corrected, especially the condensation. And, you know, that should have, to me, there should have been someone there the next day.
Well, I mean, that's kind of an ongoing issue with a lot of different departments in this town. I think, you know, issues go on and they're not addressed. And then way after the fact, when we're in a critical situation, town council's made aware of it. This is just one more example of that. So, I mean, how do we improve communication?
I mean, we're lucky with the roof, we've had a drought this summer.
Right.
You know, but now it's starting to rain again. But again, the condensation in the ductwork, it raised, the architect's representative was very concerned, the health department was very concerned. I mean, we had water dripping out of the ducts, and it's like, wait a minute.
Alan's concerned about mold.
So,
Is that a possibility?
Well,
well,
health
that's
department.
always, you put moisture in an area like that, and that's always a possibility. But I guess, we're really, we've come this far. The guy was on vacation this week or last week?
Last week.
Last week. And you had no contact yesterday or today from him?
Not yet, no.
Yeah. Could you reach out to him?
Yeah, that's
And
what.
at least find out what he did, because he was
Yeah.
going to contact the guy that did the heating and cooling originally. And, you know, these guys should want to try and fix their work.
And to your point, that could have happened 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, before you went on vacation.
I thought that everybody left the room, that it was urgent to get after this ductwork issue. And here we are a month later, and absolutely nothing's happened.
Right.
But, okay, so I've wasted all your time, but.
So is there an evaporator on the,
You know what, Mike?
or you don't even know?
I don't know what the issue is with the, you know, condensation could be anything from a lousy insulation job, you know, to, a leak getting into it, but, you know, until somebody looks at it. And it's not, you know, it's not an easy thing, you know, somebody's gotta really want to fix it and find out what the problem is. But according to, I think it was either the building principal or Bill Chody, that's been a problem since the school was built. And unfortunately, we should have jumped on it then, but we have to do it now. You know, the school is way too much money to be sitting this way, so, I mean, I don't know what we tell Michael. I don't wanna sit here and wait 2 weeks for another council meeting to find out that they may or may not have got a letter from a plan of attack, you know? Somebody needs to get in there with a heating and cooling guy.
Well, it's 4 weeks before our next meeting.
Okay.
Because there's
so-
only
so
one
You rest the
meeting.
case.
But it's only 3 weeks before the beginning of school.
But nothing's gonna happen before then anyway.
Right.
The original guide, for some reason, is not available. Do we use someone that we normally use for the school system, like, that's working on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
Well, as I said in the subcommittee, I'll be pushing, you know, Peter to get his, you know, whether he calls him an engineer or roof consultant, whoever he has as his expert that he wants to bring in, and we're gonna coordinate with Firestone as well and Eagle Rivet, because that was mentioned at the meeting, that they, you know, Firestone holds the warranty in terms of the membrane. Eagle Rivet was the one that, did the patching. But as Al was saying, we realize it's not just a roof membrane issue. It's a masonry issue in terms of some of the other positions within the building, and it's also, the ductwork that's up there. So I think getting as many minds to the meeting and walkthrough and history of that roof, the better off we are in trying to pinpoint a strategy to alleviate the leaks. And because it's going to be, I think it's going to be like detective work, to try to figure out all of that stuff, so.
Right, but we need to get the detective on site.
Yeah,
There are
yeah.
forensic guys in construction, because, these things, they're hard to, some of them are gonna be very simple and easy, and some of them are gonna be like, why, how we're gonna find this.
So by the end of the week, we should have a clear idea of when people can come out, right?
Yeah, I would think, tomorrow I'll be able to talk with Peter and get a date out of him
Yeah.
to get here as soon as possible and coordinate with those other
And
those
ask
other
him
entities.
specifically about the ductwork, cause he
Yeah.
was gonna go call the contractor, it disappeared like the next day. Okay.
Now, I'm curious, at this point, if the council wants to go so far as to say, listen, he's picking somebody or somebody he works with to bring to this tour. Do I go out and, if you got some references or somebody to say, here's our detective, here's our roofing, here's our expert consultant that we wanna bring to the table.
Right, I mean, we
Right now,
have
at the
to
get-go.
move on it.
Yeah, I mean, I
These
don't,
guys it's gonna be hard to get all of them together at the same time and whatnot. I think we need to move.
Well, I don't know.
So let's see what he says, if he, hopefully we get some feedback this week, cause that's the other thing. There are guys that install product or, systems and roofs, and there are guys that fix them. And very rarely are they the same guy, so maybe, going to the original heating and cooling contractor is probably, a phone call to them would be, hey, you wanna come out and walk through the building? I mean, that hasn't happened. You gotta see this, Cause here's the thing, if we get out of the summer, and we get into the fall when, the humidity outside is the same as the humidity inside, the problem's gone, and they're gonna say, oh, it's fixed.
And then another risk is we start undertaking this, then everybody else could wash their hands of it, saying, well, it's on you now.
And that's the thing that I'm not sure how much liability but that would be,
Right.
that's out of my league. But I just know that we need a response from them. And like I said, a couple days afterwards, I got a call from them and they were all over it, like,
Yeah.
we wanna make this right. But people are gonna have to start, I don't know how many people who built the school 5 years ago are gonna take their wallet out to fix it either, without your help, so.
Doesn't the health inspector come in to your school before school opens too? He doesn't do that?
No, just the fire marshal.
Just the fire marshal?
I mean, unless there's a concern, if they have some kind of a
I don't
concern
think,
on the health.
I don't think he's gonna be happy if we've done nothing by the time school starts. I mean, that's-
We were left with the impression that they were gonna address it right away, and,
So-
we've been asking questions ever since, so.
All right. Let us know what you hear, Michael.
sure, so,
Next item is Town Planning Goals Subcommittee.
The Town Planning Goals Subcommittee has not met, however, when we get to item 12A under unfinished business, I have some comments and recommendations from the committee.
Next is Public Safety Communications Committee.
The Public Safety Communications Committee met in July. We met again with Chief Halloran from Branford. I think we made a lot of progress. I think there's favorable feelings on both towns in terms of moving ahead with a regional dispatch center. I think the committee is at the point where we would ask our town attorney to start drafting some kind of a memorandum of understanding, which then the town council is going to have to sign along with the RTM at Branford. We're not quite there, there are things that have to happen in terms of the unions, but I think if we could get a draft started, I think hopefully we could do this within 6 months. And I think there's a very favorable feeling on both Branford side or North Branford side. We had a very, very productive meeting.
Thank you. Next item is Planning and Zoning Commission.
Planning and zoning did not meet since our last meeting.
Okay. Next item is Town Manager's
Mike,
Report.
one thing, East Shore Health District, I think we still need a
Yeah.
replacement for Bill Chode. I don't know how far if anybody's volunteered or anything. We're gonna need that.
Bill Chody's somebody from the school, or do you know what that position was classified as?
Just a board of directors member, we get
It's
two
just
in
a
this
board?
town on one of them. So Bill's leaving, leaves a vacancy.
Right. Yeah, you can fill it with anybody you want.
Someone from the schools.
Yeah, if we find somebody from the school that would want to sit on there.
I don't think it's gotta be from the school.
No.
It doesn't-
I think it's like an at-large appointment.
Right.
For
So,
years, Joanne did it, and a member
if
of the
somebody
board.
if somebody wants to come up with a name, or somebody that's interested.
And also, if we could go back to the Public Safety Communication Committee, just to piggyback on what Counselor Diamond was saying about the Regional Dispatch Center, there's an issue there in terms, with respect to personnel, and I'm not sure how you want to handle that, and addressing that. It might be something that we could have a end of this meeting, non-meeting, to talk. It would fall under collective bargaining and strategy negotiations, so if you want to do it
Well,
that way.
that's
talk-
why I held off. I thought we would discuss that in executive session.
Yeah, it's really a.
That's
a
why I did
non-
not discuss
okay,
that part.
Yeah, it's really a non-meeting.
So later, just make a
It'll be in
motion to.
executive session.
Yeah.
It'll be actually after the meeting called, it's really a.
Well, it's a
non-meeting.
personnel, so shouldn't
Yeah.
it be in the executive sessions?
It functions like an executive session, but it's really just, it's off the agenda, it's a
Okay.
non-meeting, because it is
And I do have information on that.
specifically collective bargaining.
Okay. Good. Next is Town Manager's Report, update on NBIS report on leaks. I don't know if you
Yeah,
have
you go
anything
forward.
else on that?
No, I
Before
think,
you go forward with that, I have a question on documents that are in the council packet that was put in front of us. I don't see that on the agenda anywhere, and I think it belongs in an executive session.
What's that?
What's that?
That's the covering memo from town attorney to the town manager on delinquent tax accounts.
yeah, that you would have, there was two members, George and Rose, that was placed there, asked for that information from Pat. You could certainly amend the agenda if you wanted to tonight under, I don't know if you can go into executive session, I don't think we did last time, if that's protected or not, but you could amend the agenda to talk about getting detail to those tax issues.
Our initial discussion was in executive session, and then when we voted as to what we were gonna do, that was in public session.
It was, okay.
So I think we continue it, the discussion under executive session.
Well, there's a couple amendments to the agenda that have to be made, so I don't know if we wanna make them all at one time.
Well, I'd like to make that one now. So I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include under executive session, strategy and negotiations with respect to pending litigation concerning delinquent real estate tax accounts.
Rose, did you want to add then the other amendment?
Well, I'll second George's amendment.
Okay, any discussion on that, adding that to the agenda? Roll call?
Mayor Duty,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Arman.
Yes.
Counselor Candelora,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond.
Yes?
Counselor Manna,
Yes.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
Okay, next is update on status of Med 4 ambulance.
Right, you have a, Pat's letter in terms of the meeting, after the meeting we had with Chief Seward, Anthony Esposito, myself, and Pat. Pat crafted a letter, and then there's also a response from the company in terms of, warranties and so forth. So Pat's got a pretty good command of the handle on this, and unfortunately, Chief Seward also provided a update. It's back in service, great, but mechanic doesn't think they've addressed the full issue of the halting performance of the ambulance. So I think I'll let Pat speak to it, but I think we're headed for litigation in terms of trying to get that engine replaced.
The letter from the American Emergency Vehicle Company said it's not their fault because it's not what they made and sold to us. Although I know there's only one more person we had a contract with, one company. It's it. And I don't know what's wrong with the machine or the ambulance. And we're going to have to get somebody who's going to tell us what they did wrong or what was done wrong. Because obviously something's wrong. But we just can't go to court and simply say something's wrong here. We don't know what it is. We're going to have to get an expert to tell us what it is. I want to meet with the chief again and Mike to see what that next act is going to be.
So the people that have been working on the ambulance, they can't identify really what it is either, because they would be our expert, you would think.
Well, if you remember the letter they wrote us and wrote me in response, she said they'd be willing, American Emergency, they'd be willing to go to New Jersey to some, with local representatives, to somebody in New Jersey who is some kind of a genius at diagnosing these problems. Maybe we want to take them up on that. Because if we bring a lawsuit, you're talking a couple of years from now. It takes forever. I wanted to speak to the chief about that in person to see if we can get somebody to go do that. Maybe we can get some progress.
Would we have to transport?
Get the ambulance working, not so much to get a lawsuit. Right?
How long has it been on the road, Mike?
No,
Since
just recently,
2000.
it's going back into service. I think Chief's,
Like a week,
Yeah.
his email said.
It's running good.
well, yeah, no, all he said was unreported. Any incidents have not been reported since it's been put back in service only less than a week ago, so.
Who's incurred the costs on all the repairs that they've done so far? Like this one repair that they don't know if it's gonna fix it or
Is it
not?
called Nutmeg? Is that what the, Nutmeg has been the dealership? I guess Nutmeg is the dealership that's been picking up the cost for that. And, Anthony could certainly speak to it, but they've gone from, trying to chase this thing, thinking it was, one thing down. The latest was the electrical harness, and they thought that was it, and this latest.
So they've
was
incurred all those
Something
costs?
different.
Is it still under warranty?
Yeah.
Is that it? So that's why it's.
Because the claim started prior to the warranty expiration date, they've covered all the costs.
So if we were to sue, what would be our aim?
Oh, well, to get enough money to fix it. We bought it over 3 years ago.
Right.
2013. I don't think we can rescind it at this stage of the game, say, here's your vehicle back, we give us.
So
back our
it's an
money.
international chassis?
Correct.
See, so that's what the problem is. The company we bought it from buys a chassis or buys 100 chassis and builds ambulances from International.
Right.
And so that's the gray area. They're like, hey, the ambulance part's working good. And International is saying, hey, the truck's working good, but somehow the two of them together.
Well, Al, from what I heard was that they bought an extra long chassis and then cut it and shortened it, which they should have ran away from the first time somebody said we're gonna cut it and shorten it. And this is what happened with the wiring harness and everything else that was going to the rear axles and sensors back there.
I don't think it's two independent problems.
And then, not to put salt on the wound, but, I heard at the Potato Festival, you get a lot of information there.
There's a lot of people there.
That the new rescue truck is having a bunch of issues too. Not, or the new, whatever the new fire truck,
When a company, water company too.
I don't know. I mean, if you don't know of a problem, then maybe there isn't one.
Well, the newest one was when the company two had, and it was back at, the dealer in North Haven, just for some modifications, some of the compartment sizing, things like that.
Okay.
That's what you're referring to.
That's what it said. They said it was, they're spending more time in North Haven than in North Branford.
Well, there were some changes made.
So they were
to compartments that
tweaking
they were working
something.
on. Exactly.
Okay.
Not problems, just a matter of.
Getting it how they want it.
Fit, exactly.
All right, that's good to know.
Just to go back to the ambulance, I'd like to know what the plan is if it goes out of service again. What's our plan?
I think we should think about taking them up on their offer of bringing it to have it looked at.
See, I think that only because I, had a lot of trucks and a lot of equipment, and it's these things are getting to meet the requirements for the environment. They're really getting, there's only, so having said that, I don't think we can do anything until International stops looking at the problem. I mean, I think if it's on the, if it goes on the road and it runs for 2-3 weeks and it's okay, and then something goes wrong and they take it back to the dealer and they try and fix it. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that, I don't know how we, until they say, that's it, we're done, there's nothing wrong with this, then I think we, have to go find somebody else to tell us what's wrong with it.
That's not the end I was talking about, Al. I'm talking about what is the plan for us operationally
Oh,
if this ambulance is not available? I mean, I'm
Well, we have
assuming
3, right?
We have a spare.
We have a spare.
We have 3, so and that's one of the 3. So we would have 2 still operational if this one goes, which has been happening all along, correct? On there? That's how we've been operating.
But
And that's satisfactory.
So do you go to AMR then if you absolutely had to have another ambulance? Is that what would happen?
They call it Medcom,
Medcom?
wherever they find.
Okay.
Could be AMR, could be Branford, could be Guilford,
That's what you would do, you'd go to Medcom first. Okay.
part of the service they provide.
Yeah, I think it'd be well worth it to contact that New Jersey
yeah.
But then,
and have somebody take a trip down. Maybe you could touch base, Mike, with the fire chief
Yeah, yeah. I'll
and
certainly-
get the information from Pat or out of the letter or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll coordinate, yeah. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. If he's an expert like Pat said he was, then maybe he'll find the problem.
Right.
And not only that, that ship will sail if we don't take them up on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right,
We can't get hurt by it.
right.
No.
You give us some information or an ambulance is fixed.
Right.
Yep.
All right, next item is Mary Caruso resigning from various boards and commissions.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I'm working on it. I think I've got a plan worked out to try and get those 3 boards, commissions filled. So it's just, something I'm working on, but it might play into the item 13F, which is requested by Counselor Arman in terms of discussion. So I can save those comments to the end.
So this item on, is not something that we need to act on?
No, this is merely informational on 8C. It's just informational.
well, the item coming up is something that we may have to act on, I don't know.
I understand, but this is not one that we have to act on.
No, she resigned.
She's gotta find a replacement.
Her resignation says she'll stay on board until we
Right.
find somebody.
Exactly, yeah. So
Right.
I'm working through it and I'm identifying people and.
Which I will say, to Mary, hi Mary, if you're out there, I appreciate all your service to the town and you will be missed.
That was it for 8C.
Moving to community events and presentations.
Community events
D-
and presentations.
D- The DEP adjunct hearing regarding the propane tank, September 8th at North Branford Auditorium, starting at 6:30 PM.
Yeah, just wanted to let the council know that we did program that on the website. We secured that for the September meeting, and we'll continue to, do what we can to advertise, I guess, of that, and this being one of them, that people watch this show as well, so watch this meeting.
That's right, yeah.
Not quite a show.
That's true.
Well, sometimes it could be a show.
That was on national.
I'm not sure where we are in the ratings, but
We're competing against the Olympics.
We're just below Trump.
Next is the invitation to North Haven 911 ceremony.
yeah, that's in your packet. That came from one of the select women from North Haven, Sally.
It's at North Haven 9/11 ceremony. We have been invited by Sally Bermoni, third selectman in North Haven, to attend the event and acknowledge in the 15th anniversary of 9/11 at the North Haven Green on Sunday, September 11th at 1 p.m. Okay, next item is citizen statements, petitions, and correspondence.
I would just like to say that this past weekend, for the Potato Fest, my hat's off to Lauren and Roseanne, who did a remarkable job at the Potato and Corn Festival, and to all of the volunteers. That event could not happen without all of the volunteers. I was there Friday night and Saturday, most of the day volunteering, along with other council members that had volunteered, plus just a lot of civic members, town members. And despite the rain on Saturday, the 3 monsoons that went through there and made the field quite a mud pit, the fireworks did go off, and it was an extended show due to some donations that we received from some lucky person who had them confiscated from them. So we had a nice fireworks show on Saturday night, and I think the rain definitely did keep some people away, but there were still great crowds all 3 days. And Lauren and Roseanne did a remarkable job, and everyone else that helped with that.
Mike, by the way, wonderful to work with you.
Yeah, see. So Chris was working the grill pretty good on Friday night. I gotta give him credit for that. I don't know how he did. It was pretty hot back there, that's for sure. It was fun. It was eye-opening for me to be sort of under the big tent for the food, watching the food protect. The volunteers give it a lot, and it's under, they're on their feet a long time, and a lot of people work really, really hard. So my hat's off certainly as well.
My hat's off also to the high school athletic teams that volunteered for their shifts to get, they get a small donation from the Potato Fest for every 4-hour shift that they work. And then, there's definitely guidelines as far as how many people have to be there, and it has to be a coach or a parent with them. Football signed up for 6 shifts this weekend, and a lot of it was parking and cleanup. Field hockey, cross country, they did an absolutely remarkable job. The coaches and the parents that were guiding them, and the kids were just absolutely wonderful. A lot of compliments. They were very polite. They did a great job for the amount of money that they're going to be getting back from the Potato Fest, which I think is great that the festival can support these local groups either through the sports groups or local organizations to give back to the community. And that's what it's all about. So my hat's off to them too.
Thank you.
I want to thank Mary as well, but Mike, you've got a tough job because Mary begs for every meeting she goes to, so when you pick a replacement, you better be careful because she would bring a smile, and some of the baggage she's carrying at home. Mary always showed up smiling, giggling, happy. She always made every meeting upbeat. And at the end, we all went back home with a few more ounces around our belt. But there's gonna be a hard hole to fill when she leaves those, and I hope it's for good reasons. I hope it's not that the home's requiring more overtime, because she really did give back to this community. And when she filled in and stuff, you know, with the board bed and stuff, so, you know, you really should kind of recognize her somehow, because she's just one of those people that you, when you walk through a meeting and saw her there as a secretary reporting, you knew you were in for a good time that night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, just to reiterate, I guess the next few days are supposed to be very hot. We have cooling centers at
Yes.
Town Hall, the libraries that are
Yes,
open.
yeah, and rec center as well.
Rec
Yeah,
center.
all three, and those are on our, I believe those are on our website as well, and also I think we communicated that information to 211 as well. So yeah, it's been active since the first wave back a month ago, and yeah, so that continues as a standing, yeah. Yeah, good, thank you for reminding.
The next item is resignations and appointments. Nothing listed. Next item is unfinished business discussion and action, review and discussion on future plans for the North Branford Police Department.
I think that the planning committee has heard folks loud and clear that the best move would be moving towards a renovation with a possible addition to the facility. And what the committee did is meet with members of the police commission to come up with the areas that we feel are the greatest need within that building, with hopefully the possibility to renovate some of those areas and a possible addition to meet some of the compliance that we just don't have right now. We've also talked about, don't jump all over me on this one, because this is in the talking stages, of a possibility of bringing the ambulance building, if we do an addition, so it would be more in the center of town. We could have some shared facilities like your cafeteria, your lounge kind of thing. We would then be able to perhaps sell that ambulance building. We did get an appraisal on it. We probably wouldn't get the amount of money that it's appraised for, but there's a possibility there of looking at combining, that would bring the ambulance center closer to the center of town. What hopefully I'll have for you next month is some preliminary, just sketches, drawings, for you to look at, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Again, this is just talking stage, but we realize that at this point, the best route to go is some kind of a renovation. And I have to thank Dave Palumbo and Ron Onofrio, who are working on developing sketches for you, so you can get an idea of what we're talking about. And if we could do something like that, we could, you know, we could save some money, use some of the, if we were able to sell the ambulance building, use that money towards the renovation. And we're also at this point looking into possibilities for where there might be, some monies to help us with that renovation. So what you have in front of you, and you had it last, I know you had it last month too, is we have tried to identify, we spent a lot of time, identify those areas within the building of greatest need, where there needs to be some renovation. So hopefully next month, I'll have something more detailed for you along with some drawings.
Thank you. Response to RFP on demolition and cleanup of 1599 Foxton Road, North Branford.
Right, I put together a brief memo, but what's there is the response from AAIS, and it amounts essentially to $222,000 to do everything. They're a soup to nuts kind of outfit that came off the state bid, that they can do both the remediation, if you will, of lead and asbestos with the demolition. So that's a full.
Can we get a breakdown of that?
Full project cost. Yeah, I could follow up with them, but sure, you can get more
I'd like to
detail.
know what the remediation would cost versus the demolition. I don't know if there's a company that can just do the remediation.
Yeah, there's lots of companies that do that, and everybody with a demo license has a list of people who do that, because, you know, you know, we were going to try and get it cleaned up first, and then, you know, go this way, but or not this way. You know, sooner or later, we're gonna learn that, you know, just going off the state bid, even look at the carpet. Yeah, I know it's only $8,000, but it's $8,000.
Well, no, it's not. We'll
So-
get into that discussion when we
Yeah.
get to that item.
Same
but
company
it's,
too, though.
Yeah.
So, but with this, you know, there's a lot of demolition contractors in town. Maybe once it was cleaned up, it might be something that even Public Works could tackle and do it in the winter if we don't have any snow.
Yeah, I spoke,
So,
I spoke to Fran, and Fran said, you know, he has the equipment to take the buildings down. The only thing we don't have is the remediation license.
Right. And those normally aren't that bad. The people, those businesses, you know, you know, they walk through the building and they identify lead and asbestos and all that, and then they, you know, can have it removed.
Maybe we should put out an RFP just to do the remediation and see what that cost would be.
Well, that's what we did a month ago.
well, this
That's
is,
how we got this.
This is not in response to an RFP. from
Well, it's,
Henry.
you know, but this is, we told Michael to do that. Find out what it would cost for the remediation.
Is that
And we
correct?
ended
This
up
is
with a
not
lump,
from an
with just a number of 225,000 not broke down.
But what I'm saying, Al, is this does not appear to be responsive to an RFP that we have.
Right,
No, this is,
I agree.
right, this is using the state bid contract first versus putting out a bid to find out, you know, using the state's qualified, there were 4 companies on there, so picked the AAIS, went with them, this is what they get. I can go back to them, get a further breakdown, and just have them separate out the remediation or the cleanup of lead.
But you didn't reach out to the other three?
Not at this point, no.
Okay, so you've reached out to one company on the state bid, and this is what we've got, and in this way.
That's right, that's
Okay,
correct.
I'm just
And-
trying to understand.
Why don't we
I
just,
don't-
why don't we just make it easy and do an RFP for the remediation and an RFP for the demolition?
We could, you know, just time to put that out there. I'm not sure that, what I'm getting at is, I'm not sure we're gonna be too far off, these numbers, and I think AAIS can certainly give me, okay.
Well, this number from AAIS is too far off for us,
Well, no, I don't-
especially if we could get our Public Works to do the demolition.
Well, we don't
Right.
have, if we only have one number, and one blanket number, not broken down, then we don't have anything to compare it to anyway.
Right.
So we have no idea
Yeah,
how
okay, so-
valid it is.
Yeah, so I can go through the remainder and get those. I just don't think they're gonna be too far off, and yes, there may be a savings if you separate out the cleanup costs from demolition and say, we'll do it on our own, okay? But I don't know that you're gonna go from 220, you know, I don't know what remediation, I think is probably the bulk of it, not demolition.
No.
But, yeah, I could be wrong.
Did we not at one point think that there was some state money available for remediation of the
We didn't get that.
contamination?
well, we applied.
We
for-
applied.
Yeah, but is that door completely closed, or is it another opportunity in this fiscal year?
There's no response yet on that,
They haven't said if we got it or not. It's still sitting there. I don't think they've awarded everything out of that.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a remote possibility.
Remote, right.
Remote.
There'd be very little remediation in the, let's call it the old town hall, not the old town hall, you know? So-
Yeah.
But there'd be very little because of the time when it was built.
Yeah,
So
there
there's
was-
very little remediation in
I don't think they were using
Very little.
asbestos then
I
at
mean,
all on
You
anything.
know, I'm gonna tell you right now that building would be done for less than $10,000, the remediation on it. Because there might be, they find stupid stuff, like either a lead base or an asbestos base on the bottom of the coating on a sink. Or maybe something, wrapping a pipe, but that building is too new to have a lot of remediation. The building up top is a different story, but even so, you know, I haven't seen it, but you gotta get off the state bid. You gotta get out there to the private guys that do it, and that's where you're gonna get the competitive numbers.
At least more than one.
I mean, look back at when it was the VFW or whatever, you know, getting the clean up there, you know, I mean, it's like guys are taking down stuff. Buildings come down easy. So you have two things, you have the remediation and you have the tipping fees. The rest of it is a couple of days' work with the machine, and it's done and gone, and looks like it was never there. So it's not, you know, 225,000 looks to me like it's a lot of money. But I don't know exactly what's in that old building. But, you know, that's where, you know, you could put it out one way. You could put it out and say you're responsible for the remediation too, you know, but I think then you're in a gray area where if
No,
you
they're
get that
not,
done
since
first.
then they're not gonna be aware of the risk, those numbers are gonna be inflated.
Right. So, and then again, and I talked with Franny as well, he thought that if he had the time and stuff, they certainly, the town owns the equipment to do the job.
I thought there was also remediation of the land itself too, isn't there some?
Yeah, but I've heard that just on the time of it, I mean, that was like a gasoline, tank that, you know, and that isn't an issue
Yeah,
anymore.
That's
no,
not an
I don't
issue?
think there's anything
So,
that's been up there.
There's nothing wrong in
Evaporates.
terms of the.
No, there was one.
So we'd be looking at lead and asbestos in the center school building. And maybe a little bit, tiny bit, in the other brick building, but other than that, you know, should not be, you know, the bulk of the number is probably the tipping fee, getting rid of the, you know, which is going to the transfer station and, you know, all the dumpsters. That's the bulk of the number.
Which we would have to pay even if the town did it,
Right.
correct?
We'd pay that if the town did it, but if you put it out to bid, it would be all on them.
Right.
You know? However, that's another way that if the town was to pay the tipping fees, nobody has to cover their butt on, you know, what did the old foundation weigh in the old building, you know?
Right.
So it would be an actual number, and, you know, there is a big transfer station right in town, but there's also one in New Haven that, you know, you pay so much a ton to get rid of this stuff. So, you know, that would be another option, or certainly if Franny did it, you know, we'd be paying the tipping fees. And you could put it out to contractors that, you know, we would pay the tipping fee, or just lock, stock, and barrel, you guys do everything. But I'm telling you, Michael, I know it's easy for you to go to the state bid, but that's not the way to get the best number on something like this. And not only that, you have a whole bunch of, you probably had 10 businesses in town with a demolition license.
Right, but I think I have to get the licensed contractors for the cleanup of lead and asbestos, and if I'm gonna bid it, I'd probably separate it as a bid alternate for demolition, in case, so they submit two numbers. or
Yeah.
We're looking at somebody that's gonna bid, on the cleanup, and separate it and give us a demolition alternate for demolition as well. Otherwise, it gives us the opportunity to go, if we wanna do, if Franny to do it himself, once it's clean and
Right.
it's taken care of.
You definitely want them separate.
Yeah.
But this guy just gave us 225,000,
Yeah.
and somehow they came up to that number. And see what if you want to stick with them, see what the separate number is, but it's.
I think it probably should go out to bid. I think that's the honest way. Okay, next is bid results for installation of carpet at NBIS H Auditorium.
Based on our discussion tonight with the board, is
Or
the,
NBHS.
they believe that, they're not quite sure if the bid specs have the right grade of carpet that was in there. So there's question as to the 33,000 for the bid from the same company that state contract says is 41,000 plus. They're not sure that it's the same grade of carpet,
Who's not sure?
the Board of Ed.
So how did it go out to bid, though?
Well, we've instructed Michael to, we want to table it so we take no action on it, so that
To
they can
make
look
sure
at the
that-
bid specs, to make sure that the bid specs were correct and specified the grade of carpet that it was supposed to be. We were under the understanding that it was a joint effort between the Board of Ed and Michelle Knockwood, and there was discussion that that might not have happened. So we're not, so that's why we.
So we
I
got
would-
two different bids with two different specs. Is that what I'm
Well-
understanding?
The
Well-
same, it's the same company though.
3 bids,
It's-
actually.
It's
Right.
it's the same company that, from the
Was
state
local.
contract, that originally gave the number of 41,000 plus.
So you guys do know the way this works, don't you?
I thought I
Because he
did
was
up
the
until-
only bidder.
No, there was another bid.
There was another bidder?
Yeah.
And he
For
was
six,
there?
for
You
69.
got red thread and R&B ceramic tile.
All right, so he's the low bidder like that. He's like, if I spread the word that, hey, I'm using a cheaper carpet here, I can go back to the higher number for the same job.
What?
Exactly.
That never would have,
The guy had the job for 41,000 if he went to the state bid.
right.
He bids it, saying, "Man, I got to sharpen my pencil." Goes to the bid opening, he's the low bid. What you got to do is drop the rumor that, oh well, this was a different carpet, and he gets the number up. But you know what? I mean, somewhere it should be written what weight carpet,
Right,
or
so that's what
whatever,
my thought would have
on
been.
the state bid as well as on this.
Right, I mean,
On any
and
bid.
we don't have that, I mean, we didn't have that information tonight, and so the
Commercial grade.
the board was happy if we tabled it until we got more information, and if we have to throw out the bid, if they weren't correct, or if the wrong spec was in the bid, to not accept this bid and rewrite the bid spec so that it's correct, to see once what happens, they're okay with that. He said it's not a time-sensitive issue, that it has to be done.
Okay.
They just don't want to be with inferior carpet quality installed, and so that's what I'm gonna find out tomorrow.
So I'd like to make a motion to table this item.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call?
Mayor Duty,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni.
Yes.
Counselor Arman.
Yes.
Counselor Candelora.
Yes.
Counselor Diamond.
Yes.
Counselor Manna.
Yes.
Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
Next item is purchase of tablets for town council.
I just have a question in regards to this. This item was not on our original agenda. And was it just added today on a final revised?
Yeah, I think recently, I think it was yesterday that it was added, or Friday.
My question is, when was it given, when was the final revised agenda given to the town clerk to post? Did we meet the 24-hour
Oh, yeah.
notice to have this item on the agenda? Because we just got this
Yeah, this
today.
was, right, so the final revised, or this item was already posted, it might even been posted Friday, but I think it was posted 24 hours, if nothing else, 24 hours yesterday. So wasn't posted today, it was posted yesterday. So it meets the timeline.
Okay, that was because of the email that we got today, that was my question. I didn't know if that item and 13G were done today and then posted, or if it was done prior. So, if we meet the 24 hours, then we can go ahead without amending the agenda.
Yeah, it was posted well before the 24-hour deadline. It was just, I don't think she got time to push it out or load it to Dropbox and push it out.
Okay.
When you're saying we have to return them now, do you mean tonight?
No, I think we gotta.
Sure.
Before school
I
starts.
say by Friday. Because he has to clean them all off and put the student applications back on and have ready for 2 weeks, as Dan mentioned in the school space.
Well, then we may as well give them to you tonight.
Yeah.
What's the difference? We're not gonna use them between now and Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I like them.
I like them too. And look at all the 58 pages.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And plus we get revised agendas right away. I mean, I don't have to see it at my desk.
No, you only get them right away if they're loaded in there right away.
Well, that's true, but, I mean, I saw the revised agenda, you know.
What's the amount of money we're talking about expending? on this?
$6,000, it's in the motion.
Well, that includes apps, correct? So,
Like $500, have you figure out the iPad itself, plus a case, plus the notability app you have to pay for. It's a not to exceed number.
I'm sorry, where's this motion?
it's
In the tablet.
It's in the tablet.
Well,
it was the,
He's wondering what page.
Go after the carpeting.
it's page 42 of the new agenda that was put into Dropbox.
Today, was it today? It is.
Well, my page 42 is entirely blank, as is 41, as is.
Well, it's loading, you just have to,
Slow down and let it catch up.
I've been sitting here for.
You're in a dead
Oh,
zone.
you,
Hour and
sure,
10 minutes.
do you have the one that was
Show 'em,
sent
Dan.
out today?
Yeah,
We opened up today.
Take a look at Chris's.
yes.
Right, look at Chris's.
41 or 40?
We cut the motion in half and we'll all share.
Cut and paste.
I don't know, mine's working.
So it's a not to exceed number, correct?
Yeah, I can try to do better, honestly.
Okay, I'd like to make the motion, be it hereby resolved that the North Branford Town Council directs the Treasurer Finance Director to utilize funds from contingency 101-4703-760-0000 from the 2016-17 fiscal year to purchase 12 iPads and the corresponding apps needed for an amount not to exceed $6,000.
Second that.
Any discussion? Roll call?
I do not understand how we're going to get the value out of this in order to justify doing it. I don't understand how we can justify making this purchase, given the cuts that we've been making all along. You know, in 2.5, 3 years, it might wash out. We might get our money back from the savings of paper and postage. And not that I have a problem using it, but I do have a problem with the expenditure. I think it's inappropriate for us to be doing that at this time.
I think the amount of paper that we would save and the postage, even though you're right, it might take a little longer, in the long run, I think it would make it justified. Plus, it's immediate access. Sometimes people didn't get their packets in time.
Well,
People
what-
complain about getting them late.
Mine always comes a
Right.
day after, you know.
We've had problems with the post office.
How long does it take Gina to put together the agenda for the
The old-
council?
The traditional way.
The way, yeah.
The old way, it's a better part of an afternoon.
So it's an afternoon. How long does it take her to load this?
Not long, it's just because you scan it and you run it through as one packet, I mean, that's a couple minutes, so she's gone from a
So, I
couple
mean, you
hours.
gotta take that into account.
Flares down to a couple minutes, yeah.
I guess I could explore, if you want me to explore a different vehicle. Maybe like a Kindle or something to that effect, they're significantly
I don't have
less.
anything against Apple.
No, I'm just saying it might be, it'll solve the problem at a lower cost perhaps.
Apple's user-friendly.
I can try to explore if anything else is out there.
I'd rather-
Tablet, different style
But
tablet.
this is much more user-friendly.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have a Kindle?
Yeah, we have a Kindle.
This, and with the Dropbox and the Notability, some of those other
Is Dropbox?
devices are much more difficult to use.
Is Dropbox Apple specific, or is it?
No.
Oh, so you can use it on a Kindle,
Yes.
right? Well.
If I remember, the Notability is like, what is it, about
Did
$9
we
or
figure,
$10?
did we have a number of how much the paper cost in a year? So, I mean,
Oh,
if it's
God.
60 pages times 9, do you have, what do we spend on paper and postage a year?
I don't know.
Well, postage is roughly, it's roughly, if you,
It's
$60 a
yeah,
meeting.
$6 or $7 for mine.
Right, so you're, if, on the months that you have 2 meetings, you're at 120,
Just with the postage.
just for postage.
Yeah.
So I see us paying it back pretty quick.
And then you have Gina's salary for an
It works out
afternoon.
to about 2.5
And running to the
years.
post
It does.
office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you have the possibility of perhaps, just perhaps, the units becoming antiquated. I
But
don't know.
I would disagree. I've had an iPad for, I think, 5 or 6 years, the same iPad, and I think Apple makes them in such a way that you don't have that problem. If they come up with a new iPad, the one that you have.
Well, maybe I just haven't been able to use it long enough to be as confident.
Okay. Anything else? Roll call?
Mayor Duty,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes,
Counselor Arman,
Hey, Anthony, does this include insurance, like if Marie were to spill her coffee all over it or something? Do we all have to divvy up $100?
Why is this on Marie?
No,
No insurance.
But these are used by the kids all the time, and I'm sure they.
That's actually a good point.
and they do not buy the protection plan on it.
Don't drop any coffee on it until after we, before we return these,
Okay. Yeah.
Counselor
There's
Arman.
obviously the risk of the base breaking, or someone drops and lands on the corner and shatters, I mean, it's a computer.
Yeah, right.
I've dropped my iPhone many times and it hasn't broken.
But you can buy the
We'll provide a
cases
rugged case.
Yeah.
that the district buys because they've gone to these
Right.
specifically, and they're like $22
Right.
a case. And there's a protection on there, and
Right.
it works very well.
I would
And
agree.
kids use them all the time.
Exactly, yeah.
So we're on vote, Dan.
Yeah, so Dan says yes.
You got that, Judy?
got it. Counselor Candelora,
Yes.
Counselor Diamond,
Yes.
Counselor Manna, Counselor Miller,
No.
Counselor Rose.
Yes.
Okay, next item's new business, discussion and action, potato and corn festival update.
Counselor Arman had requested.
Okay, it was to avoid, I'm going, we just had the Potato and Corn Festival last weekend, so I was wondering going forward, what would be a reasonable timeline to expect the figures from this year's festival? And then what will we do about, the leadership of the festival, which we handle on a year-to-year basis, before we start working on the 2017 year. So those are my questions. We've had those discussions in the past, but it was kind of done late in the season, so I kind of want to figure that out now.
Well, from my point of view, because this is a matter for the Park and Rec Commission, this falls under the Park and Rec Department, and as far as the leadership and that going forward, I think that really needs to be a discussion that is had at the Park and Rec
And they
Commission
submitted a
level
recommendation, I guess.
to us.
Right, okay.
As far as the numbers from the festival, that is, Lauren can tell us how quickly we can get preliminaries, it might be at least a month before we get
Right.
preliminaries. I think in the past, part of the problem with getting the numbers is they wait until they get the absolute final number, and I'm not so sure that that's what I would be looking for.
Right, that's-
I mean,
I think this-
I think we could get estimates, even if you don't get the bill from North Haven Police or East
Right.
Haven, whoever did it.
Right.
Well, how many shifts did they work? Approximately how many hours in which your hourly cost is just put an estimated number in there. And then when you get finals, that's fine.
Right.
But I think we could get estimates much
Preliminary
quicker than
figures.
what we have in the past.
Right, so that was my goal, is just to establish some sort of a timeline, and, also Lauren to, ask Park and Rec to address, the leadership, issue as soon as possible, so we don't wait until October, or whatever it was in previous years.
We have a meeting on the 23rd on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on, review of prior capital improvement plan, CIP projects and 2016, 2017. One is reappropriation of surplus budgets to complete capital project funds.
This is actually a multi-piece agenda item. As you just mentioned, there are 4, 5, 6 motions at the back that close out existing capital projects funds to roll that money forward, totaling about $70,000. That would be the first step. I also included in there as well the NBIS money, which looks like it's a chunk of money, $1.4 million still, but in my note in the bottom there, I realized that you need about $800,000 for the balance of the MBHS roof project and $400,000 for the TVES roof project. And in the CIP already, let's see, there's $285,000 identified as other funds. That was the balance of that money. So bottom line is there's no more MBIS money unless the estimates for the 2 roof projects come in significantly off. So I would ask you to close out the 6 motions to move that money forward. And I have polled, I would say, the department heads to try to get their input as far as capital projects. And my goal is to be before you at the next meeting with a revised CIP, if anybody has any new items they want to amend their previous requests. And then we could, 824 it to planning and zoning, and have it back hopefully for your second meeting in September for adoption. So the first step would be to close out those 6 motions. One of the funds is over expended, and that's covered in motion.
Where's the bid?
Number.
Is this 13B?
This is,
Yes.
yes, D1, I guess you said.
So it starts on page 46,
That is correct.
the different motions for the various accounts that have to be closed out.
Correct.
So,
Starting with motion.
so this money, you're just gonna wait and see once and get it and reappropriate it?
Into 16, 17.
Okay.
So then, once we get the final, some, people may have new requests they wanna do, I'll marry up the new requests they have. And I don't think, if you go back to the page 44 of your packet, we didn't identify LoCIP, for example. I think we're getting more than the 50,000 identified. We're getting more on that municipal project grant we identified. We're getting a little bit more on town aid road, so we got the ability to alter these numbers a little bit, finalize them as we go into the final process. There was also, if you go back to page 44 in your packet, the CIP as it stands currently, take that back. It says this mill, in the 15-16 year, there was a project listed for the Mill Road ramp, and that was erroneous. It should have been the Mill Road drainage. You can't do the ramp till you fix the drainage issue. So it was a LoCIP project that's specific to how you requested the money from LoCIP, which is Mill Road ramp. We're gonna close that project out, and we'll spin that money forward again into 16, 17 to address the drainage issue first. They must accomplish before you can do the ramp. So there's some other tweaks going back and forth, and again, I did solicit input from the departments, if anything that they previously submitted, that they wanna alter, increase, decrease, move out a year, bring back a year. Some months have elapsed since we, first put this together. But as long as the budget fund column doesn't change, the rest of these numbers basically are easily adjustable, I should say.
So the drainage for Mill Road,
Yes.
where does that fall under drainage public works, or is
It's gonna
it?
be under
Oh, it's not on here right now. Okay.
It was in 15, 16, I'm gonna write the LoCIP had it lapsed and listed under 16, 17 correctly as a drainage problem under the LoCIP column.
Because that was $10,000
That's
originally, correct?
You are correct.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You are correct.
And
the
then.
ramp, I believe, is being accomplished by some Eagle Scouts or.
Correct. Yes, that was approved by Park and Rec to go ahead with that.
Before we contact too many department heads and get their things, let's figure out what it's gonna cost us for the remediation of the old town hall buildings, and maybe use some of that capital improvement money for that. And then Franny won't be under such pressure if he has to demo those buildings. I think that's one idea that we should kick around first?
Granted, we've incurred costs going back probably 4, maybe 5 years now, that we lumped together and anticipating the sale of that property. I know maybe a 4-letter word we don't want to talk about, but we incurred some costs, different appraisals, things along that line. The premise was we're gonna put them in this fund, and then when we sold it, we would recoup the money that we spent, and the rest would be profit. So there have been some costs we've incurred to date, that we haven't budgeted, it's been coming out of the capital reserve fund and going in the hole, with the understanding, was a motion the council passed several years ago. Spend it there, when you sell the property, you reimburse yourself basically, and the rest becomes profit. So if you wanna capture that in that same vein, again, depends on where you go with.
What do
with the
you have a
costs.
figure?
I don't have it off my head, no, I
Okay.
can get that yet. We had some appraisals done. we
Yeah,
had
but
some-
before we go spending this
No,
money.
I know what you're saying, 100%, I'm with you.
I would really like to see the
Right.
remediation done on those buildings, and then therefore,
We have the roof project and the 5099, 2 big projects we need money for. I get what you're saying. Because we have no idea what the NDIS project is gonna cost us yet.
Right, and my sense is that's a first priority in terms of leaks, right?
Yeah.
And then whatever's left as we work our way down to
Yeah.
find that out.
The 1399 would be second in line.
but before putting this pool out to somebody to grab and say, "Ah, I need this, or I need,
Right, right.
I need,
Right.
tires for my police car," or whatever,
Well, the NBIS project, Board of Ed did acknowledge that there is a fund of
225 approximately.
225 that's available to
Prior
go to
capital
that project.
Prior capital project for Board of Ed,
Right.
money that we have,
Correct.
They'd like
Not
to
yeah,
submitted.
right. Or they're going to reallocate it.
Correct.
They said we could reallocate it over to the NBIS project. So once,
That would probably need council action.
right, but before we do that, once we get a little bit more handle on what we're gonna do and what the cost is, to take that money from those 3 different areas, because I don't know if it was all budget funds or if some of it came out of other funding areas. That's what we have to look at.
Okay. So for tonight, you can just do those 6 motions to close those other things out. We can feed that money into the city for next month.
All right, I'll move that the town council direct the treasurer, finance director to reappropriate the entire balance of Fund 447 to the 2016-17 Capital Improvement Plan, Fund 465, and that Fund 447 be closed.
Second.
Dan, I think so.
Yeah,
Dan,
Dan.
Dan seconded it. He
I
did.
second it, yeah.
Okay. Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes?
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Or a motion to.
All right, I'll move that the town council direct the treasurer, finance director to reappropriate the entire balance of Fund 432 to the 2016-2017 Capital Improvements Plan, Fund 465, and Fund 432 be closed.
Second that.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes?
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Next is motion 3.
All right, I move that the town council directs the treasurer, finance director to reappropriate the entire balance of Fund 452 to the 2016-2017 Capital Improvements Plan, Fund 465, and that Fund 452 be closed.
Second that.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes?
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Next is motion 4.
I'll move that the town council direct the treasurer, finance director to reappropriate approximately $52,300 of the balance of Fund 454 to the 2010-20 2011 capital improvements plan, Fund 459, and the net remaining amount, approximately $19,350, be identified as one of the, quote, "other funds," close quote, referenced above in the 2016-2017 capital improvements plan, and Funds 454 and 459 be closed.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Motion 5.
Move that the town council direct their treasurer, finance director to reappropriate the entire balance of Fund 456 to the 2016-2017 capital improvement plan, Fund 465, and that Fund 456 be closed.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Next is motion 6.
Move that the town council direct the treasurer, finance director to reappropriate the entire balance of Fund 457 to the 2016-2017 capital improvements plan, Fund 465, and Fund 457 be closed.
Second.
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Okay. Next item is review of town-owned properties. Nothing else, right, Anthony?
You're good, thank you.
Yeah, this was a request that came at the last meeting. So Carrie Duquesne, town planner, put together the list and the map, and you also have the larger color copy in your folder as well.
Yep.
Realize it may be difficult to read on the iPad.
That's my paper still has its place.
Kurt, did you make this?
Carrie did, I think.
Plan, that was from GIS, generated in terms of colors.
I'm just wondering why we have so many greens that are half a shade off of each other, so you really can't tell which is which.
That's land development, and open space is sort of a standard.
Green?
There's green, but you're right, it's.
So everybody, so whether it's the water company, the town, the land trust, whatever, we
Yeah.
use green.
Yeah.
All right. I just had to say
That
that.
was the fun. If you had any specific questions, I may be able to answer some as well. Sort of help Gary in terms of what I thought was, some of the comments in terms of what may be appropriate for the land trust or other uses, or just their thoughts at this point.
There's this, I requested that, Carrie and Kurt put this together to give us a visual of all the smattering of different parcels that the town has around town that, not being utilized, a lot of it.
If I could just, put my 2 cents in, there's a lot of open space, small parcels here and there, that when subdivisions came through, they either, went to the town or they went to the land trust. A lot of them that went to the town, in my opinion, fight, it would have been more appropriate to go to land trust. There's vacant space, there's no development potential there. Maybe they're along a brook corridor or something like that, and they're ideal to preserve, but is the town the appropriate steward for them? Probably not. The land trust, we have a very active land trust, they're monitoring their properties, they're posting them, and they're taking care of them. So there's a lot of those in there that are scattered There's some parcels that we acquired, that maybe have potential. Off Hall Road, there's a piece of property that we got when we acquired this building from Tilcon. It's a nice open space piece, but if the town ever wanted to sell it, I mean, it has development potential, more residential, which is maybe not where we want to go with it, but good rich potential. We bought a lot off Oregon Farm subdivision when it was developed back around 2000. That's part of the open space. It was a building lot, but we held on to it. Depending on how budgets go, and it's not a lot. It doesn't need to be open space. There's potential there if the town ever wanted to dispose of it and get some funds. You know, those are the kind of things that we try to note on the list. But again, you really have to sort of digest it where they are.
So parcels that are held by the land trust are not listed here.
These are town properties. It's just the town the listing is the town-owned ones. A lot of them may butt up to land trust properties and they show on the map, because the land trust is a green shade as well. But they're numbered. With the parcels, there's a corresponding number on the map, and those are the town ones. If you go up by Doral Farms, across from the high school, there's a bunch of properties in there. Some of those are land trusts, some of those are town. And depending on what happened at the time the subdivisions went through. In reality, most of those probably should be, in the future, turned over to the land trust. They're in open space, there's no potential, but they show on there as town-owned parcels. Again, the numbers correspond, but yeah, you have to really sort of work your way through them. There's a lot of little parcels that don't really have any, they're insignificant parcels. But then when you put them together, the land trust, they work well.
Thank you. Next item is appropriation transfers, 2015, 2016.
This is probably the lion's share of the transfers to wrap up June 30. If there's any questions on specifics, I have to try to address them.
Did you have to lock?
You gotta lock it.
Go to your settings.
She thinks we know how to get to settings.
Here.
I know how to get to settings.
And then once it's locked, then you can turn it the other way so that you can read it.
The last page addressed some of the ones that Councilor Angelini and I were talking about the last meeting, as far as like the ambulance insurance and the risk corridor funding. How we budget them up in the department, but they actually function as operating transfer. And this actually moves the budget now to the operating transfer line. So it marries up.
Yeah, that was good. And then, yeah, right. Okay. There's auto rotate.
General lock rotation. I'm gonna live with yours, I'm not playing with this thing.
Dan's making.
He has to give it back anyway today.
Yeah, we have to give it back.
Dan's gonna make the motion.
Hereby be it resolved that the North Branford Town Council hereby approves the following appropriation transfers as recommended by the town manager and the treasurer finance director.
Second.
I said following.
Discussion?
You don't have to put, you don't have to say them. I don't think you have to read them all.
Go ahead.
Roll call.
Why don't reference the report as delineated on whatever it's called.
As delineated on
Appropriation
Anthony?
transfers.
Oh,
Yeah.
pardon me?
as delineated on,
Appropriation transfers.
right,
Item 13D of the,
as delineated on 13D.
as delineated 13D. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, made sense.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Manna? Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Next item is tax refunds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Manna? Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Sorry, just to clarify, who made the motion?
I did.
Joe
You
Fawn.
second?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item is discussion and review, wage scale for clerks to boards and commissions.
Yeah, I was made aware of the different rates the recording secretaries get for the different departments. And my question was, why are they different? How are they determined? And do we need to adjust anything considering our current shortage of recording secretaries?
Well, there's probably a line of people waiting to go to the fire commission, huh?
I know.
Well, that's what.
What?
Yeah, why is that so much?
Who
Why
can,
is that so
who can
drastically-
explain that to
Yeah.
us?
Right.
Well, who said it?
I think it goes back to, from what I
Back to
saw.
prior clerks from, predates the current clerk. prior
Yeah, but that's
clerk.
fine, but how is that set?
Right.
Isn't this stuff set by the town council?
I don't know the history and how far back it goes, but it's historically been higher than most of the other ones. And the concept, when Richard looked at this probably.
Yeah, why is this?
6 years ago, the thought was when the current clerk leaves, it would revert back to a wage that's more in line with the rest of them.
What? Because how many meetings are there a month?
What?
Does that make any sense to anybody?
See, I was looking at it like, okay, $100 and $25 an hour after the first, I thought, okay, that's
Okay,
fair.
well-
And then you see $284.
Right. And then when that clerk leaves, it reverts back to the original amount. Well, then how do they end up getting that
Well,
kind of
no, you have to
double and a
renegotiate.
half?
Seems to me they should all be the same.
What's an average meeting, Anthony, in hours?
3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours.
And then they have to produce a transcript?
Right. And that's, there's budget meetings, obviously, in that time of the year, there's,
But-
additional meetings.
So at
Does
4 to
their
5 hours,
transcript-
it's,
Does their transcript hours, that's additional pay, I mean, that's all
It's all
included?
included, yeah.
What do you, so it's only the hours that they work at the meeting, not afterwards, transcribing?
For the clerk of this commission, let's say?
Any commission.
Right. It's based on the meeting time frame.
but it's a flat
It says
fee
here,
for
it's
the
the
meeting
two
and the
hours,
transcript. It's
that's
still
for the
pretty
first 2
generous.
hours, and it's $25 an hour
$142
after
an
that.
hour.
Correct.
So is that
About
statement
$60
correct?
an hour, I think.
Yeah.
Well, no,
For
not
our
for the
meeting,
fire commission,
for
it's $142 an
the-
hour.
So then I would read into that the fire
$284
commission
for
gets
2 hours.
$284.
He said
No.
3
No,
hours.
it doesn't get that.
Usually fire commissions.
Okay, well then that should
Well,
have
it said
been
for
an
first-
asterisk and called out
Well,
on
what,
this.
so what's, what is,
She
what's
wants
the
to go to the
difference
fire
there, Anthony?
commission.
Al's question was, does the $25 hour above 2 hours apply to the fire commission? It does not.
Oh.
So I'm
So
like
when
a
it's a flat-
simple
doesn't-
asterisk up there,
Right.
calling that out at the bottom would be,
It would be my thinking, though, that there should be some sort of uniform pay scale,
Right.
uniform formula, period.
I think the concept, again, going back to when I said that.
I agree with you, Dan.
Whoa, we gotta write this down, Dan. Al agreed with you.
There was a larger disparity if you went back, again, that 5-6 years ago, there were some clerks making 50, some clerks making 70, some clerks making 100. So it was all over the board, and this was, again, it goes back to when Richard was here to try to equalize it. The $100 ones are the ones that historically require more time. The $75 ones are the more,
But they're being reimbursed a per hour rate
if they exceed 2 hours.
if they exceed 2 hours. So they're getting paid $50 an hour, and then every $25 every additional hour they work on it.
$50 an hour as counselor.
If it's $100.
Right, but also you have to figure out their time to type it,
Yeah, they have to furnish the product, and
the
that's.
time to submit it to the town clerk, the time to submit it to Gene electronically. So there's probably another hour on top of that, it's probably a 3-hour deal, if you think about it roughly.
Okay.
Maybe more, depending on, how fast the person is.
So are they getting paid for that when they do that?
The
after?
transcribing.
You're
It's
not.
based on the hours of the meeting.
Yeah, $25 an hour.
No.
No, what I'm asking is, do they
No,
get paid?
$50 an hour for the first two.
For the first two, but when they're like doing.
So if a
that-
meeting is 2 hours and it takes them 3 hours
6
to,
to 8 days, you don't care, they're paid $100, that's it.
so their transcribing hours do not get paid for.
You are correct.
Okay.
So it's based on the time of the meeting.
Right.
Correct.
The meeting, not time of their work.
Okay.
I just think they should be uniform.
It should be uniform, that's my opinion.
I agree.
It's up to council to, Al, I appreciate it. Agree.
If you make them uniform, the way to make them uniform, you're gonna raise $75 an hour people to $100, pardon me,
then-
not per hour, per meeting, to $100. And then we've got one commission, which is totally disproportionate,
Right.
bearing really no relationship to reason. I mean, on an hourly basis, it's off the charts.
Right.
But historically, isn't it possible that the police and fire commissions were just left to their own to say, we're going to select this clerk and we're gonna pay this clerk X amount of dollars below? I mean,
Probably they were products of the commission level decision, not a council level decision. But again, like I said, the current clerk, at least the one that predates her, I know for a fact that his salary was, again, significantly higher than the rest of the clerks. I think what happens over the years is there's a base level, and the fire commission says, okay, everybody gets 2% raise. And it's just 2% on that number, just accumulates.
But
And then-
shouldn't these clerks in all these meetings be set by this council?
You said in your budget, at budget time, that's your opportunity, I guess. When you go to those lines, you can say, okay, we need to reduce this by X. That's your opportunity, I would say, to, if you wanna make a change, to do it at that point. Cause it's dollars and cents, and that falls into you guys.
So we have to wait for the
We have to
next
wait for the
budget
next budget.
season, I guess, if we
Right.
want to make changes.
I don't think so. It's budgeting is one thing, hiring or setting a wage is something else. I wouldn't want to do it arbitrarily and say, okay, at the next meeting, oh, by the way, tap on the shoulder, you're making less, but at some point, it should be brought into line with reason.
I think that was Richard's idea, like, when the current clerk left.
Well, they'll never leave at 284.
Sure.
Sign up for that one.
I'm gonna learn how to take notes.
Well, with the iPad and
Now I got this,
notability,
you know?
Yeah,
you're all set
with
out.
notability.
All right, well, we'll have to address it
Well,
when time comes. I mean,
how do we, I
How do we
don't,
address it?
Well, if we want to let it go through
Budget
the
season.
fiscal year, that means it's next June 30th, which, you know, I can live with that, but it really is unfair to the other people who are doing essentially the same
the
job.
same thing, that's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
it's been unfair for many a year.
Does-
She's been there a
where does the
long
money come
time.
So we have to wait.
Well, the
general-
budget.
The general
Yeah.
fund, or does each commission?
Yeah, each commission has, yeah, I mean, as Anthony said, you can adjust.
It's a line
that
item in the
terms of-
budget.
Well, we're gonna have to send them a memo.
Well, I think
you
you
know.
you have to, you start with what you think is fair, if you're gonna go to a uniform rate for all of them, or are you gonna say, listen, I think the town council is a little bit more involved than, say, library or EDC,
Oh,
not to
yeah.
pick on anybody, but any
Right.
commission.
Well,
but-
we should get an idea of the hours of the meetings, you know, so.
You know what? Let's do
we-
this.
We know when we go in that, Planning
Let's
and
get-
zoning are 3 hours, fire commission's 3 hours, police department's 45 minutes,
There's 7 people at $75 a meeting. If we increase them to $100, that'd be $175. Allocating $100 to the fire commission, we would save $4.
I'm with you, Joe.
It's not worth spending the entire night on, and I don't want to do it to somebody on very short notice, but it should be rectified. It's just not, it's not reasonable.
You want to revisit next meeting? We'll pull together some.
I would suggest that the mayor mention maybe a letter to the commission chair advising them of your concern.
Fine.
Okay.
Well, and then I guess we can prep them for next year's budget, when
Yeah.
they're presenting their budgets to us, is that this is,
Guess
here
what?
are the recommended rates, or however we want to word it.
Right.
The gravy train's over.
Okay.
All right, so we'll do that. Next item is hiring freeze.
Yes.
That's
so
a
there-
retirement.
Yeah, a recent retirement from Public Works. Hank Haska has filed his paperwork for retirement. So only one meeting in August. I was hoping to add this to get your blessing to move forward with the internal process for filling that position in Public Works. It's a pretty important position that Fran is obviously out on vacation this week, couldn't be here, but I'm sure he'd be strongly advocating that, that the council allow a green light to go forward with starting the process on this, to fill that position. And obviously, we've got to go internally first, and then it'll filter out
Which
down the
position
chain.
was it?
Lead, he's the.
Highway leadman?
Highway
Highway
leadman,
lead.
yeah.
That's Henry, the white-haired guy.
Oh, okay. So he actually is left?
He's
The
the end of the
this
month. Yeah, and the date is August 31st, right? Yeah.
August 31st.
Yeah, and
Okay, the North Branford Town Council hereby lifts the hiring freeze to allow the Public Works Department to fill a vacancy created by the retirement of Henry
Prohaska.
Prohaska.
I'll
Second.
that.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Duty?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Arman?
Yes.
Counselor
that it?
Candelora?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
thank you.
Next item is citizen statements and petitions. Seeing none, we'll move into executive session.
Before we move in, I just
Okay.
I can't let this go, so I'll make it as a statement, since it's not on the agenda. But if you look at the bid that was provided to us from Red Thread or whatever carpet, it's clear from the state bid that he was using Lee commercial carpet at $42 a yard. And the little caveat and little note said, there's lots of colors and choices you can pick within budget. So the thing that gets me, Michael, is why do I have a February 4th bid on the carpet and not the bid from last week? Because it would be pretty easy, I look at an awful lot of bids in my life to see whether we have a $42 a yard and the bid that went out for it or not. And I think that's something that the Board of Ed shouldn't be doing. I think it's something that the purchasing department would be doing. I mean, you wrote a bid, it's either $42 a square yard, like the state bid is, with you can pick colors and choices, or it's not. And it should, and if it's not, what did they bid? So, I think, Michael, for the next agenda, I need to see that bid. But I need to
No.
see what went out.
Yeah.
And why, especially with the iPad, why was the bid that came in last week not here?
Well, it's.
Because I could have answered your question tonight if I could have read it.
Yeah, I didn't know it was an issue until an hour ago. So this council said, listen, we don't want to go for 41,000 off taking the state bid and accepting it. So you put the brakes on, said, okay, let's not do this, let's bid it. So we bid it, and Red Thread was the state contractor, and they're the same one, which was a low bid at 33, I put that in to say, okay, council looked to me like council made a pretty good decision, said they saved $8,000. And this is the award, and go out and award it to Red Thread for 33. And it
What
didn't
did
realize
the
it.
bid spec say?
I
mean, you're the boss, Michael, the
yeah,
buck
I-
stops with you.
Yeah, I assumed that we had, Michelle put the bid together and put it out, that we had the same, the spec that we had from the earlier one in
Okay.
February. So that's what we don't know, so
It either says $42 per square yard, or it doesn't. But-
Well, we didn't do the one in February.
no, right, that was the
Right,
Board of
but
Ed.
that's the
board-
state bid.
right, the
okay?
Board of
That's the
Ed-
state bid.
right,
Says
the Board
right
of Ed
there.
got
It's
that.
$42 per square yard, 626 yards, and there's plenty of colors and choices within that budget. So, with a purchasing agent in the town here, I don't know how there can be any question as to what we bid, but I'll leave it at that.
I'm sorry, I was at that meeting, and I thought that they said that second valuation by Red Thread was not in response to an actual RFP.
Well, that was my question. If it was if that was what he submitted in the closed bid, did he not read the bid specs? And that's when the discussion happened. We don't know what the bid specs say. So that's why they asked
So how
us.
were you guys having a meeting without looking at the bid specs?
No, it just was part of it was on our agenda to talk about at the subcommittee meeting with the
Yeah,
Board of
again,
Ed.
it was
Without
really-
the information.
No,
I
it's
mean, this just blows my mind.
No, it is more about informational in terms of timing, in terms of not knowing that there's an issue with, that there's their potential until I pull it out and look at it in terms of the quality of the carpet.
Well, there's a lot of questions. I mean, there's a disparity between $33,000 and $63,000 as well, right?
69.
$70,000.
Your bids are only as good as the bid specs.
Right.
Well,
And then nobody had the
the only
detail.
thing clear here is there is a lack of clarity.
Right.
What we really need to know is what was bid on,
Right.
for how much, and why there is a discrepancy with the same vendor
And that's
of
why I like you,
$8,000.
All right.
And we're going to do that. That's why we tabled it.
Right.
So let's stop beating ourselves up and let's get the facts.
Anything else?
It's going on my refrigerator.
Let's move the executive session.
So moved.
I'm done.
Who said,
So who has to be in it? Just the town manager and the town
Yeah.
attorney?
Yeah.
And
Well, I don't know. I think so. Or do we need
For the
Anthony?
first,
Anthony.
for the first piece, yeah.
And Anthony.
Yeah, for both, actually both.
Are you making the motion,
Right.
Rose?
Moving to executive session for Anthony and town attorney and town manager.
Second.
Aye.
roll call.
Mayor Duty,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fawnin,
Yes.
Councilor Angeloni.
Yes.
Councilor Arman,
Yes.
Councilor Candelora.
Yes.
Councilor Bennett.
Yes.
Councilor Hanna.
Yes.
Councilor